All righty, man. It's 2:06. Y'all, let's do it, man. What a Friday. What a Friday to be cranking up here with just swimming in over about the 47 day conflict. So by now you've heard we opened it. It's blood. Is it all their blood? It's open. Net oil straight around the low 80s. Gas pump. Well below where it was during the during the Biden administration. This gas pump, well below where it was during the during the Biden administration. This, and I'm telling y'all, wait till the glut of oil that's been pent up because it couldn't get delivered starts to hit the markets. It's going to work at some of this upward pressure. The Dow today, right now, as I stand here, let me see, it's up 1,029 points. It's higher. Point high. Is it time finish? People and you hear into it. Got to make not made what we're going to the all the stuff. They're going to hand over what's left of their nuclear material. They're they have an unending commitment to not try to go back to enrichment and nuclear warfare. The strait is now open, and I think there's probably some economic incentives in them playing ball. We didn't give them any money. Where's Obama today? We didn't fly him any money. We didn't pay him off because that doesn't work. These people don't understand bribes. They're committed to the end times. The only thing you can do is kill them. And so we did. And whoever's left decided they want to live. They're not ready for the 72 virgins, and they've cut a deal. So good stuff. It worked. Again, not to be too far ahead of ourselves, we've still got to get something on paper. And here's the beautiful part. This includes Lebanon and Israel after yesterday's talks, finally trying to work out removing this threat proxy that's on the Israeli border and has for decades blown up and shot at and harassed Israel from the north based on Iran's funding. So I've heard a lot of analysis over the last few days of how would Lebanon ever get Hezbollah out of their country, even if they cut a deal with Israel, because Hezbollah outguns the Lebanese government. Well, they don't have a sugar daddy anymore. We killed sugar daddy. The funding pipeline just dried up. Everything that set up Hezbollah, which was nothing but an Iranian state within Lebanon right there on Israel's border, has been pulled apart. They've got whatever missiles they've got left, and Israel has proven capable to defend themselves when they fire up. So all of this is positive. So the peace dividend potential is there. The end of the nuclear threat, and all the people that said there wasn't a nuclear threat have just been wrong the whole time. There absolutely was. That's why all the presidents prior to Trump were trying to solve it until Trump solved it. It's just like way back when we moved our embassy to Jerusalem. All the presidents before that committed they were going to do it and wouldn't do it. Trump just did it in his first term. All the presidents before that said, man, we got to have legislation to fix the border problem. I mean, without Congress, you can't have comprehensive immigration reform. And man, we just need some congressional support. No, you didn't. The law was there. Close the damn border. He did. It was closed in days. This was done in less than 47 days. But if you count until this moment, it's been 47 days. So, I stand here to say, you don't have to call and apologize today for being wrong if you were one of those misled people. Oh, my wife was just in the studio, AJ. Why did she turn around and look at me when I said that? Why did she look at me when I said She looked right at me when I said that. I wasn't talking to you. She's gone. No, I mean, look, I get it. And here's where I'm trying to give some grace to people who got duped. Okay. If you feel, some people will never admit they were fooled, and that makes you a fool. But you don't have to be a fool if you were fooled. Does that make sense? Am I spitting some wisdom right now? Listen to me. People will fool you in life. These people, these podcasters, these conspiracy nuts, these anti-Semitic theorists that are just doing nothing but stoking you up and getting clicks and playing to your darkest fears have just misled you. And I don't blame you for giving into it. Sometimes people don't have. We had a caller last week, and I sort of felt sorry for him. He was too young to have any personal knowledge of the history of all this, and the schools didn't teach him, and now he's got podcasters leading him astray. And he was bought in, man. He was angry and pissed off and totally misguided. And I just want to give him a hug and say, man, look, just listen to me. That people have lied to you. And that's happened to a lot of folks. There are some circumstances in our lives where we make our fools out of ourselves because of our own choices. And I've certainly done it. None of us are an exception to that. But now is the time, what I would submit to you, and I'm not talking to Democrats and people with TDS, okay? You people are infected. I think it's incurable. Even if we went to social distancing, I'm not sure you can be cured. You can try to wear a mask. It might help. It was, I know it was your go-to during COVID, but I'm not sure you people are helpable. At this point, your emotional state has gone off a cliff. So I'm not even going to talk to you right now. You're beyond help. You're not just being fooled. You are a fool and capable of learning. So y'all can just take a time out right now and let me just talk to some reasonable people who might have been led astray during all this stuff. This was a just cause from the beginning. It's been in the works for 47 years. It came to a boiling point, and we finally had a president with the courage to take the risk in the middle of the midterms that could end the rest of his presidency to just finish the job. And why would you do that? Because you care more about the good of the country and the good of the region and the world, because we're the only nation in the world that could have pulled this off. Israel was a great help, but Israel wasn't in control of this. Who in the hell actually believed that? But we had to get them to calm down. They still want to be fighting. We've gotten them to pull back on Lebanon so we can work this out. I mean, this was our position since the founding of that country, that they had to get dealt with. We finally dealt with them. The threat is gone. The people have a sliver of hope of reform and freedom in their country, which is a beautiful, magnificent country with an incredible history. The nuclear threat's going to be ended for at least a few decades. I'm not sure it'll ever come back. You'd have to have a whole nother group of maniacs take over that country. Commerce is resuming. In fact, the first ship went through the strait today, and you know what it was? It wasn't an oil tanker. Despite all the heartburn, it was a cruise ship. And I think it was loaded with people. AJ, does that mean oil is worth more than people? Somebody's like, who's going to go first? Send all the people. It was the Spirit Airlines of cruises. Because they're all drunk on the Carnival. They won't know. It wasn't Carnival. It was something else. But anyway, they went through today. No problem. So the markets, of course, reacted to the announcement of the deal. They all knew what I've been telling you the whole time. We were on the bottom. We knew why we were on the bottom. It was a sudden thing that happened that could be suddenly fixed. And before it got suddenly fixed, the bottom feeders wanted to get in there and get those low prices and get back into those positions before it ran back up. And that's why you had these huge swings. We had 2 or 3 3,000 point swings. Now, granted, we're still 45 minutes from the close. We could have a calamity that could freak them out again. They jumpy people. But it's an exciting day. And not just because, and I mean this, it's not just because the position that a lot of people like me that are, I guess, old enough to know about Iran and understand this issue a little more real life experience, and those of us that are cynical enough not to buy into the cynicism, y'all gotta be cynical about the cynicism that's being stoked artificially. You're being worked. You're being manipulated. There's so much propaganda by foreign governments just floating around, and people buy it and retweet it and believe in it and stitch it together with some other non-fact and drive themselves crazy. They can't sleep at night. Calm down. You need to be cynical about all the cynicism. Think a little bit, slow down, slow your roll, apply some logic, think about how the real world works, and you understand this was inevitable. We completely went in there and dominated, wrapped this thing up. And again, I'm not just happy for politically that Trump proved them all wrong. This real estate developer from New York apparently is better at this than all the credentialed crowd in Washington that have their diplomas and their resumes, and they've worked for this senator, and they worked at this White House, and they worked at this think tank, and boy, they all understand this. Very sophisticated, delicate diplomacy, a whole lot better than you rhubarbs that couldn't possibly understand any of this stuff. It turns out we understood it from the beginning. We were on the right side of it. Trump was on the right side of it. Sometimes it's just so simple. It's Occam's razor, man. You guys get to the point. Bam, take their nukes. That's it. The world's at peace. Will be. And the potential for other peace and commerce and prosperity in that region frees the whole rest of the supply chain when it comes to energy all over the world. It's instead of having a black market with hostile terrorist actors selling oil to profit from their terrorism, and then our other rival in the world, China, getting oil at 30 cents on the dollar to power their economy to then also attack us. We just equaled that whole equation. China now has to pay the same thing the rest of the world pays. And Iran can't fund terror anymore. They don't exist. Hallelujah. Pass the mashed potatoes. This is going to be amazing. Y'all get in here tonight. I want to hear some of your reaction to it. We've got things going on too, and other headlines in the news. That Trump is going to speak to Turning Point USA, I think around 4 o'clock today. I don't know if we can shove the show around enough to carry a lot of it. We're going to try, which means, AJ, we'll run some commercials early and late and try to work around that and get it because of this moment. Not just that it's TPUSA, but we're in this moment now where this is the first public appearance of the president after all this stuff was announced today. And it'd be interesting to see how he reacts to it and what else he says. The markets will be closed by then, so we won't be watching that until Monday. And, of course, we'll give you a big wrap-up at 3 o'clock on everything so we can start to maybe hope, cross your fingers and hope, those gas station prices, which have been slowly coming down, will come back to reality. And we'll be on with summertime. Let's go do our vacations and enjoy our lives again. By the way, I'm glad y'all survived the crisis of 2026. I hope it didn't, I hope you didn't lose any family members or have to starve too much here in the United States because gas went up by $1. I hope it didn't cause you to lose any weight or have to, you didn't have to get sheltered in place or get rationed any flour or bread. I'm sorry for all of you that went out and collected metal and scrap rubber to help the war effort. I know it seems like it's in vain now that the war ended in 47 days. I know we just wanted to be like our grandparents and actually sacrifice, but in the end, just personally for me, and some of you, it's a lot more, but it wound up costing me about $100 to see freedom in the world that I've wanted since the 7th grade. It cost me $100. I don't know about you, but I'm proud to have participated in the war effort. Maybe we can all get medals for our part of the great gas price increase of 2026. Back here in a minute. Man, okay, let's go again. Huey Tampon. Let's talk about Huey Tampon for a minute. Man, Tommy's hitting me with something new, and I love it because I was like, I don't care what you got going on, Tommy. If you got a deal on something, let me know. But we've been talking about the gun counter over at Huey Tampon, and he gets these batches in. Still got some law enforcement Glocks. Still got some of those AR-12s. He tipped me off that next week they're going to have a shipment of ARs. He's got the purchase made, but they got to get delivered. He's got to get them in his system before I turn y'all loose because y'all will be pounding on the door and he's not even ready to sell them yet. So I love the way he and I work because he'll just go out and find a deal on something. I don't care what it is, and he'll throw it at you. Here's a deal that's completely unexpected. How about a utility trailer? Hello, man. He's got these Larimore trailers made here in Alabama. He just sent me a picture of one. These are smaller, sort of single axle trailers. They're good for. I mean, man, you ever seen somebody at Home Depot trying to get a lawnmower in the back of a minivan or something? Come on, dude. Anybody could tow one of these things for its weight class, and you could do a whole lot with it. Just getting rid of stuff, hauling stuff. I mean, I've got mine hooked up, and I was about to unhook it. Then my son reached out and said he needed a couch moved. Just something small, but luckily be easier to do with my trailer, so I'll run over there and help him this weekend. Y'all, I'm telling you, this is a good deal from our buddies over at Huey Tampon. They're, again, made in Alabama. It's just a utility style trailer, $14.99. It's got some that are a little bigger, a little different design, a little bit higher than that. The best price is the $14.99, and they have in-house financing over at Huey Tampon. So a little something different on our Huey Tampon commercial this evening. Y'all go see Tommy and get to know him. There are deals all over that store on stuff other than even the gun counter. And he's just a good dude. Always out looking for a bargain for the rest of us. I love it. Huey Tampon and Hueytown on Brook Lane Drive. All right, I'm going to switch subjects for a minute, and we'll go back to the war wrap up and the markets and all that stuff in a few minutes when we get closer to 3 o'clock with the market close. But man, this thing about the missing and dead scientists is really creepy. I was starting to yesterday on the show. I told y'all I'd spend some time, digging into it so that I could understand what's really going on here. Because we had this story late yesterday of yet another scientist from Alabama, actually, that worked in Huntsville, that they have now added to the list. Now, all I could speculate on yesterday was the type people involved, the job they did. Is this all coincidence? But the more you dig into what these people were working on, and that's really the connective tissue, they were a variety of ages. This young lady that is from the Huntsville area was working on anti-gravity research and was about to set up some kind of private enterprise to sort of put some of that technology out, make people aware of the technology or whatever. And she is considered to be one of 11 suspicious deaths that have happened around this whole thing. And she was young, is alleged to have committed suicide, but people around her just don't buy the suicide. There are people in your life, suicides are so tragic, and I've had them close to my family before and friends, and it's just hard to understand somebody that could get to that point. But then there are some suicides that come along and they just absolutely don't jive with anything anybody close to these people would possibly know about or do. It just immediately people suspect trouble. Then you add to it all the other circumstances that have happened with these other scientists. One of these guys was telling his wife he was coming down with some brain fog. Now, it was early in this story. This was a guy in Arizona, not too far from the Nancy Guthrie search. And he was telling colleagues and his wife that he was just feeling foggy. And some people believe that may have been somebody trying to target him earlier. There had been a guy, anyway, he wandered off, left his phone, left his glasses, just disappeared and left everything behind, perhaps on purpose. Perhaps he didn't want to be tracked. This young lady in Huntsville had told relatives before her alleged suicide that she thought her life was in danger, and perhaps she'd received a threat of some kind. Then there are others. I mean, they go all the way to a top science. This is the kind of stuff they were doing. I'm looking at a graphic right now. One guy was looking at alien life, looking and correlating information on signs of alien life. Another guy was working on infrared telescopes, which we use, of course, for our observation. out into space. There was an administrative assistant associated with another former employee that all worked at Los Alamos, the national lab out in Alamos. They were all connected to another company called Lanil, which does nuclear research, which was connected to another research department where William Neal passed away. All these are, when you draw the chart out, it's private companies and research that's connected to other research that's connected to a lab that was also looking at their part of a project, and it goes in this big old circle. A research scientist, another lady that worked on funding for one of these projects, and they're either all dead or missing under suspicious circumstances. One guy was shot on his porch, but they later caught the guy, and the guy had been arrested earlier for showing up at this scientist's house with a gun. They didn't know each other. Why would he come twice to try to kill him? That doesn't seem logical. I don't know, but Trump's been briefed. He's spoken on it twice now. Apparently, there's some high-level investigation to see if it connects. Fox has decided to dive in on it, and they've covered it all day long. In fact, earlier today, it was their number one story. When they opened up their news shows this morning, it was their top story to get the day started until all this Iran resolution started taking place. Craziness, y'all. Craziness. Back in a minute. Leland Live, Talk 995. Y'all stay tuned. Gotta turn that mic on. Let's go again. Leland Live Talk 99.5 as we're waiting on the market close, and we'll recap all that stuff here in a minute. I love being able to tell you about Tapco. They've just joined the show for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and it's good to be able to recommend a good service center. Over the years, as we've done the show, I've not had a real full comprehensive service center here on the show. And when Michael wanted to come on, I had to go check him out. So, it's another one of those things. I read people, and the minute I met him, I went, this is a quality guy. He's got a top shop. It's a pro shop. And then we dug into everything they do and what they get into. And it was a nice thing to have because over the years, people will reach out to me for recommendations on all kinds of businesses, mostly things that are on the show. But sometimes people say, who's your mechanic? I was like, I don't have one. And they're like, man, I really need one. And I didn't have anybody to recommend. Now I send everybody to Michael at Tapco. This is a performance shop, but not just for hot rods and high-end stuff. You can take anything down there and they can figure it out. They can fix it. If you got ghosts in the systems, if you got an engine light that's come on, don't just run around with that. Get it fixed. It may be minor. It can be something little. A lot of times it's sensors. There's so many sensors all over your car, and tracing down which one is going bad and is it big or is it small. Well, this is just what they're the best at. They even have a courtesy shuttle. If you work sort of maybe around downtown Birmingham, you can drop your car off with them in the morning. They'll shuttle you to work and come pick you back up and get your car back to you by the end of the day, depending on the job and the project. And they can handle anything. Total performance. I mean, they'll drop a whole engine in if you want them to, but all the routine stuff that we have to keep up with and problems that catch us off guard where something's not right, even on newer vehicles. I mean, yeah, you can wait around for your dealership to get to you, but there's a line at the service department at almost every dealership I've ever seen. Tapco will get you in and out of there, and they're able to handle all that kind of work as well. So reach out to them, get to know them, have a go-to place. Maybe you're good right now, your car is behaving and your truck's behaving, but if something comes up, think about Tapco. Downtown Birmingham, 6th Avenue South, tapcobeham.com, tapcobeham.com. All right, let's deal with a couple other things. I've got some sort of loose political things I could throw in here. This Gavin Newsom book deal, man, I just got through. For years, I've been explaining, I'll get off on a rant about political corruption. And this has sort of been corruption week because we've had the Swalwell stuff all week. That is sex and perversion and possible criminal assault and all these elements. I think his wingman's going to get caught up in it. Congress is swimming in these perverts. And so that's one level of it. The other is just the old money. It's the graft and the corruption where they're on the take. And so here comes Gavin Newsom right on cue. I've been explaining to y'all how some of the soft corruption works. There's nothing soft about it, but it's legalized corruption where these people are able to use their position, their very public position, their government position to enrich themselves, and it winds up being legal. For example, unless you can really catch her, Nancy Pelosi can glean information that her husband, who trades stocks, just happens to find out about too. There's no causal link. There'll never be an email. She's probably not that stupid. She's not Hillary Clinton with her emails. And suddenly her portfolio is outperforming Warren Buffett. And there's a lot of investigation that still needs to be going on to that. And when you try to investigate that, all you can do is look at market timing, and it's hard to prove. Another way is getting your spouse hired at some big firm if you're a lawyer, or at some big department in the government, or at some big lobby outfit, which is one of our own senators has done. And they get, and who knows how much money they make, and is that directly related to the business or not? Is it illegal? No. Is it corrupt as hell? Yes. The other one is the book deal scam. And the book deal scam is you write a book, and nobody wants to read your stupid book. You're not that interesting, but you write a book, put your face on it, strokes your ego. You probably didn't even write it. Most of these politicians have a ghostwriter or somebody that pulls it together, or somebody on their staff. They write this book about how God endowed them with all this knowledge and how they came about from humble roots to be so great. And we're supposed to be inspired by it. The truth is nobody buys the damn thing. But here's what really happens. Somebody will buy the books through a PAC or an organization. And if you're entitled to royalties on the book, you get the free money from the sales of the book, which weren't really book sales. Then you got all these books that are sold, but you don't know what to do with them. So you give them away for your donors for PR. It's like every level of the book scam is perfect. And so you get your ego out there. You get to claim you're an author. You get to claim your sales are incredible. You get a piece of the money, and really it's just some fat cat that wanted to give you a check, but he can't legally do that. So he just buys your books. Now, we've had people go to jail in Alabama for, that kind of influence peddling, but legally you can get away with that. Now, here's what Newsom did. I mean, this just just bald face. He wrote a book. Of course he did. He wrote a book. And then he had a PAC that he has control over buy the book. Of the sales, the PAC spent $1.5 million. Again, the PAC didn't just have money. Donors had to put money in the PAC. Fat cats that get around the spending limits for individuals put these fat checks in these big government PACs. And I don't even know, I didn't even read the story enough to know if it was a state PAC or a federal PAC. But either way, he's got this PAC. I guess he's not technically a federal candidate yet, so it's probably his state PAC. And they spent $1.5 million buying his stupid book, and it represented 60% of his actual sales, actually a little more than 60%. So the book wasn't selling. It faked that the book was selling. And now he's got copies of the books to hand to all his other donors that the PAC can give out. The PAC's just handing them out. And I haven't seen the details of it, and I don't know what the structure is for the book writing, but he's probably making a royalty cut off the sales of the book because it's his book. It's just corrupt as hell. They have used the book scam for pass-throughs over and over and over again. Now, if it were any state but California, it'd be embarrassing. But Gavin Newsom's already embarrassing. He's the worst governor in this country, probably. He's got to run for his money with some others, especially the new one in Virginia. But this guy's failed by every measure. California is in the decline, even though it's an incredible state, and they've still got more money than a lot of the states because of the wealth of Silicon Valley and some of their other resources. But they're squandering it, and people are fleeing as fast as they can go. Corporations are leaving. And this guy gets up every day and gels his hair back and acts like it ain't happening. He can look at the camera and shift and shape shift and lie. So a smarmy book deal on the side, that's peanuts. And so they'll get away with it, and then there'll be another. I'm telling you, anytime you see a sitting politician that's in office that wrote a book and has it for sale, we should dig into the economics of it. We should know everything about the sales of that book. How many were individual sales? How many were bought by political donors? And then you'll start to get to the bottom of the wealth transfer that the phony books are. So anyway, so good for Newsom. What an idiot. He's probably still their front runner, though. If you look at their field, it's an embarrassing field of yahoos. They embrace some of the worst positions in the history of the country. And I don't know, they just like Republicans, they can convince themselves that their guy's actually okay. So here we go. I mean, the talk of 28 is already going. I even saw another poll today about potential Republican candidates that still had J.D. Vance at the top quite substantially, but with Rubio gaining on him. And so there goes all that stuff. Now, while we're talking about politicians, let's dig into Texas. We've got this big Cornyn-Paxton fight. That is another one of those battles for the direction of the Republican Party. So you've got the deep state insider Cornyn that's being supported by tons of Washington money, and the challenger Paxton, who is whipping his ass still after all these weeks. Immediately after the runoff began, Paxton jumped out into a small lead. At one point, he was up 13. Now he's up 8, and we're getting closer and closer to that primary day. So that'll be fascinating because that's going to shake Washington up. And here's why. They have spent so much money on that race. Cornyn should be bulletproof. The insiders, the Senate committee, all of the, some of our own representatives supporting him have gone all in on trying to protect Cornyn because he's them. He's the club. He's the club member. You don't want to let the rhubarbs in here. And so they're all in on Cornyn, but he's still comfortably behind, uncomfortably behind, I suppose. So there's all that in the news. Let me see if there's anything else that's just raw politics. Let's talk about redistricting and what's going on with that real quick. So Obama popped up out of whatever hole he's been hiding in, manipulating things behind the scenes. Have you ever had a former president that just doesn't have the class to go away? This guy is meddling still. His little empire that he began building in the 2000s is crumbling all over the place. The whole establishment, the infrastructure underneath, their funding mechanisms, their globalist viewpoints, all of that's getting reversed by the Trump machine. Well, now they're freaking out about Virginia. And they did the thing this week in Virginia where they're trying to toss all of their electors behind the popular vote in the country. And you're going to have several Democrat states that try to do this, and it really to short circuit the electoral college. They don't like it because they want the advantage of shoving illegal votes in their mass populated states in and controlling the whole country that way, with California and New York, and maybe maybe Illinois as well. And Republicans would never elect another president if it were to happen. It's unconstitutional, and eventually it won't work. But they're going to try, and I'll give them credit for that. The next thing they're doing in Virginia is trying to redraw their map to squeeze out all the Republicans. So, and that's interesting. But then there's this: the Supreme Court any day now, and I don't know when the newer decisions, they had some this morning that weren't of huge headline consequence, but it's widely believed that the Supreme Court's about to put the ruling out that we've been anticipating for months that will outlaw the provision of the Voting Rights Act that allows, or calls for actually, racial gerrymandering. It is on its face a civil rights violation. It is on its face unconstitutional itself. Yet we've lived with it, and the Democrats have gotten allowed to. It all plays into all of their politics to draw an ethnic minority district and then pander to them and scare them and then abuse them when they get in office, because things never get better with the Democrats in charge. So it's a big thing with them, and that could cost them, if the ruling comes out and states have time to redistrict, even with Virginia shenanigans, it's going to wipe out some of these cherry-picked and drawn districts, which are highly illegal and a violation of the voters in those districts. So I don't know when that decision is going to come out. None of us know, but here's the theory. Alito is presumed to be writing the decision, which would mean he's in the majority of how this should be handled, which means the majority to throw out that part of the Voting Rights Act is the right. He's on the right side. And if Alito's writing, what they tend to do is they'll rotate the lead on the majority decisions amongst them. And Alito hadn't put a decision out yet. He's been in the news this week too, because he's aging and thinking about stepping down to give Trump the appointment to secure that conservative seat. We don't know how that's going to play out, while Trump has this slim majority in the Senate. But it'll be ultimately fascinating to see how the ruling goes and what states are able to do with it. Now, the other conspiracy theory in the news today, it's Washington, man, is those morons that are part of the liberal majority. I mean, I don't know. Kagan actually knows the law. But those guys, the wise Latina, Miss Jackson, If You Nasty, and the King of Queens, those three, I think Richard Dixon might have given her that name years ago, and it was so good. They are slow walking getting their minority report written, their dissent written and issued, to try to keep states from having time to go about making the district changes before the midterms. So I don't know if they're going to get done with it, but there are a lot of decisions in the court that could change and help secure the midterms. This would be one. The other would be this situation with same-day voting and whether you have to stop counting votes on Election Day. That's a no-brainer. There's birthright citizenship that could affect some of this as well. So a lot of big stuff still to come out from the court from this session, and we'll be watching it closely. Now back to Obama. So he pops up playing the elder statesman in the party and trying to rally Virginians because they've got a big vote to ratify these new districts that they drew to draw all the Republicans out. And, they'll probably listen to him. Virginia has shifted north. It's a bunch of federal workers and bureaucrats and people that are deep staters and just central government type people, which is Obama's crowd. And I think they've got the upper hand to maybe win that referendum. But he's freaking out because Virginia is that sort of, it's not the linchpin because it moves around. There's always a purple state that could flip either the House or the Senate and or the presidency. Particularly, this is more about the presidency. But all that stuff is going down. Now, before I wrap up this segment, I'm trying to get all these day-to-day run-of-the-mill Washington stories out of the way so we can get into some other stuff. If you've not had time to listen to Clarence Thomas's speech, he just popped up on my screen, and I got to listen to it this morning. I'd love to play it on the radio, but it's kind of too long. We got one of those kind of days where I don't even want to cherry pick and play segments of it, but Thomas said with some of the greatest clarity about what progressivism seeks to do in this country. It mirrors some things I talked about earlier this week about how it is so the opposite and seeks to destroy the fundamental understanding and the enforcement ability of our founding document. If you destroy that document and the rights preserved by it that were not given to us by the document but by God himself, that document restricts government from infringing on our God-given rights. And they're trying to flip that on its head in any way they can. Packing districts, redrawing, packing courts, stealing stuff, silencing you, propaganda campaigns, fake impeachments, fake investigations. These people are vicious, and they've been active about the last 10 years. Now they're getting caught. I got stories about that too later. But Thomas just spoke philosophically about this country and its promise and what has always been true that we're trying to change the meaning of in modern society. And he got where he was with those traditional values and those deep-seated beliefs. And it was just so well done. It was similar to Rubio the other day when he spoke to one of the world bodies and just blew my mind on how our position on, defending our country and our place in the world. And Thomas got down to the nut of the essence of our belief system and who we are as a people better than I've heard in years. So I'm telling you, you got some downtime this weekend, find it. It's easy to find. If you put his name in, it's probably going to pop up in videos very soon. And absorb those words. We won't have statesmen like him around much longer. He's getting older. He's of a generation that just doesn't exist anymore. We're in this multimedia bumper sticker angst generation now of leadership and stuff. And so deep thinkers and intellectual debaters and people that can, just communicate those values the way he did there. We're losing that generation of people. We really are. I just encourage you to go listen to it. It'll be edifying, and make your kids listen to it too, because he's been a treasure on that court. I don't think he's ever let me down. I get let down by Roberts. I get let down by some of the wishy-washy ones. The latest one is, what is her name? Meredith Baxter Burney. No, that's the lady from all the after-school specials. I forget her name. The crazy lady we just put on the court that flip-flops on everything. Anyway, Michelson. But how's that for short-term memory? Michelson Laser Vision. Let's talk, man. Here on this Friday, if you're in glasses or contacts, you got those smudgy, nasty glasses on your face every day. You're always taking them off, cleaning them, taking them off, cleaning them. I used to use my shirt tail, and I actually discovered I don't think it's on this shirt that I've got on today. Those shirts actually come with a little eyeglass cleaner that's sewn into the bottom of them, and it was years before I discovered that, which is good for sunglasses too. Man, I don't miss not being able to see. When your glasses are dirty, you can't see. You ever have your glasses on, you lay down on a couch maybe, and you got a pillow, and then the pillow bumps your glasses, and they're all like, and you can't see, and you're missing stuff. And I regret all the things I missed in the 10 years I put off the decision to get LASIK. And after I finally did, I'm celebrating it. Still 7 years later, I'm 2015. It was a great procedure. And again, Dr. Michelson did my procedure at his cutting edge practice. And then Dr. Jennifer's there. She's taken care of me too in the past, his daughter, as the other surgeon in the practice, and then that wonderful team around him. This is who you trust to do it right, to have the latest technology to heal you and to put you back out in the world seeing everything in crystal clarity. Go see if you're eligible. Listen to their program that teaches you about the risks and benefits and make a good decision. And I hope you're as happy as me. I'm 2015 celebrating it. It's MichelsonLaserVision.com. MichelsonLaserVision.com. Back in a minute. Weekend too. I'm telling you, the motorcycle side of their business, where they've added these electric dirt bikes and these off-road electrics, they're just cool. If you just maybe you're not in the business right now to sell your ride, but you want to just do something fun, go down to Birmingham Broker and take a look at those things. They call it Birmingham Broker BB Electric Moto, BB Electric Moto. Otherwise, if it's a car, truck, or SUV for sale, they're ready to help you get that done. I'm telling you, it's still a seller's market. There are more buyers than sellers right now, so you're going to get top dollar. I don't know when that'll start to equalize out, but there's just a lot of activity that's pushed up. I believe it's some of the economic optimism. Wait till that takes off in the next few weeks now that this conflict seems to be winding down. Good stuff all around. Y'all go see Craig and Keith and let them help you and take the headache and the stress out of trying to unload a vehicle. It's Birmingham Broker, bhambroker.com, bhambroker.com. Okay, let me deal with a couple more things, and then we'll get to the top of the hour. We'll go to the phones for a little while. We got the market wrap coming up, and then maybe Trump after 4-ish, talking to Turning Point after this incredible day for his administration. But we had another sort of Trump win with all this other stuff going on with the economy and the energy and war and all this stuff. We forget about the Maha movement sometimes and what's happening with these people that are trying to reform our healthcare system and get, the FDA all along should have been looking out for public health and monitoring our food supply, and they just haven't. It's a bureaucratic agency that works in that world where people make money off these products and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, they've leaned on Gatorade now, and it's the latest company that has come forward to say they're going to get rid of some of the artificial coloring in their product. Now, I don't know where they're going to get neon lime coloring that's not artificial, and I haven't drank Gatorade in years. To me, well, it's got too much sodium in it for what I need. If I get thirsty, I'm just a water guy. But I know a lot of athletes. It's an I grew up drinking Gatorade, but over time, it's just became more and more with these synthetic things in it that are contributing to a lot of bad stuff in the country. Well, they've come forward as a company, and good for them. I don't even know who owns Gatorade anymore. It used to be Pepsi, but I'm not sure. And they've said, look, we'll take the artificial stuff out. We'll find a natural way to color and flavor our product. That's good for your kids, too. A lot of kids at the soccer fields and the baseball fields drinking the Gatorade. All right, back here in just a minute. Leland Live Talk 995-545-9950. Let me do that again. People always asking for the phone number, 545-9950. If you want to get in here this afternoon, we'll put you on the radio. Back here in just a minute. Leland Live.